Good morning, I'm Anna Palmer.
And I'm Jake Sherman.
And welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchbowl News. It's Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. Let's get into the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number one, a reckoning for establishment Democrats in Michigan. Number two, we've got the Ethics Committee playing a key role in the midterms. And number three, the Senate's GOP recess rush. All right, Jake, let's get to it. We've got Allie Mutnick on the ground in Michigan as a lot of the races are starting to be tallied. The Senate race still too close to call, but Abdul El Sayed is in the lead there. This is a big deal for the Democratic Party, establishment Democrats. They can no longer point to New York and some of the other wins in primaries as maybe one-offs when it's happening in the state of Michigan, which has long been one of the strongholds for Democrats.
Another great showing for the public polling industry. The RCP average of polls, why don't I pull this up, in Michigan was, I believe, 14 or something like that, which is just an atrocious showing for the polling industry. And I don't understand this at all. I mean, this race, no matter how it turns out, is incredibly close. Yeah, the RCP average of polls, not blaming RCP at all, is 10.2.
In favor of El Sayed.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. This is not even within the margin of error. It's nothing. By less than 1.5% this morning over Haley Stevens, who is the establishment candidate Chuck Schumer supported. An El Sayed victory, as you said, Anna, would be a huge boost for the left. But it does show that it's going to be a very difficult race in November if El Sayed wins. You know, there's going to be endless amounts of money poured into this race by both parties. Mike Rogers, of course, the Republican, former congressman, former chair of the House Intelligence Committee, ran in last cycle and lost. But the left had another key victory last night, which is, and I'm not saying another because El Sayed hasn't won yet, but we have William Lawrence, definitely a progressive who won the Democratic nomination in the Lansing area to face Tom Barrett. Barrett is a very vulnerable House Republican who has taken positions against the party and against President Trump in recent months. He has been outspoken against the war in Iran, voted that way, introduced bills in that way. So we'll have to see if Lawrence is able to, I don't know if he's going to tack to the middle. That's the thing, Anna. A lot of these folks don't tack to the middle. They think their way is the best way to do things. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, I mean, I think when you come back to Punchbowl News and why does it matter? I think there's two things that are going to be interesting to watch, which is one, how does the establishment, how does Hakeem Jeffries, how does Chuck Schumer, how does their posture change when it comes to these progressive candidates who they are going to need to win in order to get their goal of keeping the majority? And then I think it's the second part is how does this impact overall, if they do get to Washington, dynamics in both the House and the Senate? Are they going to be pushing policies that are going to be outside of maybe where you'd expect the Democrats to go? Are they going to push people to the left? I mean, the interesting thing is it wasn't as if they won every race, right? I mean, if you look at the silver lining, moderate Democrats did win in St. Louis, where Wesley Bell prevailed in a 2024 rematch with former Representative Cori Bush. And you've got some other races as well. But I do think for Democrats, you can no longer say, oh, it's just New York City. They're having a progressive moment,
right?
With the mayor and some of these House races. I mean, this is across the state of Michigan. That's a really, really big deal. And I think the other thing is, where does AIPAC go from here? Man, you spend tens of millions of dollars to boost Haley Stevens, and that clearly did not kind of produce a groundswell of support that they were hoping.
No, this is another loss for AIPAC, which again, I think, as Allie notes, spent tens of millions of dollars, more than 30 million. And maybe they'll make the argument that it made the race closer, but you know what? Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Doesn't matter. It's not a game of being close. This is a game of winning elections, and they did not do so here. So that's what I'll say about that.
All right, Jake, let's move on to the number two story of the morning. Suddenly, the House Ethics Committee is in the middle of the midterm elections. This is very, very unusual. Full stop. Typically, the Ethics Committee, which, I know this is inside baseball, maybe for some of our Daily Punch listeners, but this is an evenly divided, secretive panel. They announced on Tuesday that they are looking into allegations of domestic abuse and illegal drug use by Republican Max Miller, wading into a scandal that's rocked both the Buckeye State and D.C., and they released a stunning report finding that Republican Representative Chuck Edwards, quote, violated House rules related to sexual harassment and hostile workplaces in his interactions with two women on his staff. Edwards now dropped his bid for re-election early this morning. I mean, Jake, I think it's stunning in the sense that, we're seeing bad behavior in Congress being looked at, but then just the swift speed and also public nature with which the Ethics Committee's posture, that's a significant change.
Yeah, and we should note the Chuck Edwards thing broke overnight. We just saw that this morning when we got up. The Ethics Committee, there is probably no one who's covered the Ethics Committee for longer than John Bresnahan, who has covered it for about 180 years, since the Abe Lincoln days. Anna, John Bresnahan has been covering the Ethics Committee. It is unusual to have the Ethics Committee playing such a public role in the election. The problem is Chuck Edwards' seat and Max Miller's seat. Max Miller, and these are allegations. Miller has suggested that they are not true, that Emily Moreno, his ex-wife, has accused him of domestic abuse and endangering their child. He has denied these things, but now there's an ethics investigation into Miller. So this is unusual in our time on Capitol Hill, Anna. You usually don't see ethics playing such a prominent role, but I think it's a sign of the times, right? You have all these cases play out on social media. They're all national stories. None of these things are confined to the Hill. And I think ethics has a different responsibility than they used to have. What do you think about that?
I also would say this: where's Speaker Mike Johnson when it comes to this?
I completely agree with you. Yes,
Miller case. You've got his father-in-law, Senator Moreno, speaking out about it. I mean, this is going to be the questions that House Republican leadership is going to be pressed with. And, does the speaker change his posture when it comes to this? Because, yes, of course, numbers are tight. These races, if you don't have kind of incumbents in them, will be very difficult for Republicans in such a tight kind of political situation. But I think the pressure ramps up pretty clearly, don't you think?
Yeah, Johnson he tends to say, let the process play out. Let the Ethics Committee investigate this. His critics say he hides behind the Ethics Committee. I don't know that's exactly right. He appoints the members of the Ethics Committee, but it is shocking to most people in his leadership that he does not say, these allegations are bad enough. Ethics is going to take a long time. We think it's better for Max to handle his personal affairs, his domestic problems or his divorce outside of the context of a political campaign, Anna. Like, that's what a lot of people are hoping he would say.
Well, we will be watching it very closely to see what happens next when it comes to censures, potential expulsion efforts for both of these lawmakers. All right, let's move on to the number 3 story of the morning. The Senate GOP's pre-recess rush. You don't really think of the Senate as moving fast on many things, but they have a bunch of items on their agenda before the August recess and very little clarity on when, how, and if it will all get done.
Yeah, Anna, there is a huge time crunch. The process is as clear as mud. We don't have a time agreement. We don't have any idea how this session is going to end. Will there be a budget vote? We don't think so. We don't know. Todd Blanche right now it looks like he's going to get confirmed, but his path to confirmation got extremely narrow yesterday when Susan Collins said she'll oppose the AG. His Collins no vote means Blanche has to win the support of at least one of 2 remaining holdouts, Lisa Murkowski and Bill Cassidy, both people that President Donald Trump has railed against. There's no time agreement to wrap things up. There's a huge desire for a crypto vote. It's Wednesday. They want to leave tomorrow afternoon. So maybe they stay through the weekend. But, once you start sniffing recess, Anna, it's pretty
tough.
Dicey.
It is tough. All right, we are almost going to leave it there, but I want to give a shout out to Peter Sullivan, our new healthcare reporter. He's got an
Starting
item.
with a scoop, huh?
I love it. Already on the beat. We've got some news. A bipartisan group of senators is unveiling a bill today to reform the 340B drug pricing program, which is meant to sell drugs at a discounted rate to healthcare providers. This is one of those big fights that as industry is involved in. Lawmakers have been trying to figure it out, and this is something to watch. And big kudos to Peter Sullivan. We're excited he's on board. With that, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you like the Daily Punch, share it on social media, tell your friends. It's the best way to find out about us. And of course, if you want to go deeper on all these issues, go to punchbowl.news. Have a great day and stay safe, everybody.